By the middle of the 60s, producer-director Roger Corman and American International Pictures had built a thriving business of making ultra-low-budget B pictures the studio felt were beneath their dignity. He had, in fact, become so successful, he started hiring up-and-comers who couldn't get in the studio gates.
They get young talent in because they'll work for the amount of, for the salary, for no salary, practically, you know, which is the way it should be. You come in just to do the film, anything to do the film.
He wasn't a brilliant director. What he did do, he was brilliant in recognizing talent in other people. So he gave people like me and Hopper, Marty Scorsese, he gave a whole bunch of really tough. Peter Bogdanovich was working on Wild Angels' second unit camera. It's great.
One of Roger Corman's first protégés was a grad student just out of UCLA, Francis Ford Coppola.
Francis made his debut editing Russian science fiction films, then worked as an assistant director on a racing film I was doing in Europe on the Grand Prix Formula One circuit called The Young Racers, and went on from there to Ireland to do Dementia 13, which was his first film as a director.
Don't touch her!
Corman had become a prime supplier to a newly evolving audience that the studios were ignoring.
In the 60s, there were about 4,000 to 5,000 drive-in theaters in this country. Everywhere, all over, you know, every town had a drive-in.
The drive-in audience was a young audience, and the kids liked these action and horror films, the type of pictures the independents were turning out. Sometimes they liked them more than the major studio films.
Corman was very bright in picking his subjects. LSD becomes in the paper, he makes The Trip. Motorcycle guys go in the paper, he makes a motorcycle movie. Bingo, Blanket, Beach Party, whatever those movies were, they make those. So they were serving a function, you know, fast cars, motorcycles, drugs. But the one thing great about Corman was he wouldn't pay you, but he would give you camera and film and let you go shoot on weekends. Shot the stuff on the Strip, shot all the acid kind of trips and so on, of him fantasizing the desert. And I directed those things, and that was the first time that I'd really had a camera and been able to go out and shoot stuff.
The drive-ins or the art houses, that's where you found young, hip moviegoers in the summer of '67. And that's just where Warner Brothers released that violent bank robber movie they didn't have much faith in.
And Liz Smith of Cosmopolitan calls it possibly the best film of the year.
New Republic, possibly the best film of the year.
And Gene Shalit and Joyce Illig both agree in the Ladies' Home Journal that it is possibly the best film of the year.
Right. And Wendy Mischke,
I know a lot of my friends, liberals, hated that picture, thought it was violent, and, you know, were furious at me. Never understood why their kids would go to it 4, 5, 6 times. They just didn't understand that picture. Because it was about, well, as Jack Warner said, you can't tell the good guys from the bad guys, you know.
Bonnie and Clyde's anti-establishment stance made it a huge hit, perfectly reflecting the disillusionment of that winter of '67, '68. With protests against the Vietnam War, race riots in the ghetto, and anarchy in the streets, the younger generation was angry and speaking out. No one was more surprised than this disenfranchised audience that they might have a sympathetic ally in Hollywood.